half-empty cup of joe.
Pour a cup of this good-smelling coffee. It will taste as good as it smells.
This show is hosted by Joe Jaquint and Jason Walker. Because half a cup is better than no cup.
Good morning and welcome the Thursday edition of the Half Empty Cup. Joe and Jason with you today. We have David Weiss, who's going to be joining us. Of course, he's a flat Earth expert, but he's got a lot of knowledge on lots of different things. And David, before we get too far into it, because it's what everybody's talking about, we've got the president going to be addressing the nation today or tonight. As the war drum's beating here, what are your thoughts about what's happening in the Middle East?
Man, oh man, what a loaded question that is. You know, what are my thoughts on Biden? Is that Biden? I mean, there's obviously, and this sounds crazy, but until you look, it's not the same Joe Biden that we see on certain newscasts. It's like there's one with attached earlobes and one with non-attached earlobes. So, you know, the question I tell people are like, well, that's no big deal. Like, if your wife has detached earlobes and she came home one day and she had attached earlobes, would you freak out? Yeah, you would, because you know it's not the same person, right? So the theater of war is a theater. People die. Order takers follow other, kill other order followers. So it's a tragedy what's going on, but it is all a theater put on by the bankers running both sides of every war. And people are like, oh, that's conspiracy theory, But then you look at like the Korean War, the Gulf of Tonkin, where it was a false flag that started that war, and it's disclosed, how many years later that it is now, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. So when you look at any war, they're all put on by the controllers to achieve an outcome, problem, reaction, solution. And, and when you look into it, so asking me what I think of what's going on, I think that whatever the person that's playing Joe Biden says is all part of the theater. And it's a tragedy what's going on. And if people don't wake up and do something, we're going to be dragged into a really long period of slavery that we're barely skirting on the edges of right now. So there you go. Dave, you got me triggered.
Dave, let me ask you a question, because I'm a conspiracy-minded fellow myself. I find a lot more truth at the end of a conspiracy theory that ends up being conspiracy fact. But sometimes stuff gets thrown at me, and it tests the limits of my conspiratorial mind. I love digging into it. I love the theater, as you say, of even the most wacky conspiracies. But a couple of years ago, we'd have these movie nights over at the radio station. We'd watch movies like They Live, get people that were not quite as up-to-date with some of this stuff as others. And I was sitting down with one guy. And so you tell me, how do you react when someone comes to you with this? Because it's kind of along the lines of what you mentioned. Guy said he knew a guy that was at the right place at the right time, I guess, so to speak, a limousine, the presidential limousine. Said this fellow that he knows looked into the limousine. There was 3 Joe Bidens sitting in the back seat. Do you immediately shake your head to that stuff? Do you consider it immediately? Because I'm at the point where it's like I don't want to disbelieve anything, but it's hard to believe 3 Bidens in the back of the limousine. But then it kind of makes sense at the same time, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know why they would have 3 people that play Joe Biden in the same place. Maybe I can't rule it out. But again, I'm hearing a story about a guy that oversaw something, it's not even third-hand information. So I really can't tell you whether I believe it or not because, I have no evidence. I have no proof either way. So do they use doubles? People say they're clones, they're lookalikes. I don't know what they are, but they're people in masks. There's people lookalikes. There's all sorts of stuff that they do. And when you it sounds crazy. And at the beginning you said you like to look into conspiracies. A conspiracy is when two or more people get together to contrive for their, to conspire for their own benefit. And anyone that doesn't believe that doesn't go on is not even thinking, because there's conspiracies inside your own house. Because there's people in your house conspiring for their own benefit constantly, right? And if you think that the paid-off government shills out there that have literally sold their souls to Satan aren't conspiring for their own benefit, you're just an NPC and you're lost in the Matrix. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. I look at things and weigh them against reality. People like, 9/11, the Arabs, hijacked these planes and they crashed into, 2 buildings and knocked down 3 buildings. And it's like, wait a minute, they knocked down 7 buildings, not three buildings. So conspiracy theory is the wrong term. That's made up by the CIA. That was all over the Kennedy assassination. And it's to make people just discount investigation. Are you, a conspiracy theorist is somebody that reads and somebody that researches and somebody that uses their God-given critical mind rather than just believe the nonsense that they hear on the news. So, if we had 5 hours, we can get into all of that. But again, you have to look. You have to stop, look, and think. There's a website to go to, stoplookthink.com, and all the stuff that's hidden off of YouTube, all the stuff you can't find, you'll find it there, stoplookthink.com. And if you see a topic there that triggers you, like, oh my God, I can't believe they think this is fake, don't get triggered. Watch the information and then judge for yourself. But most people that get triggered on stuff like, there can't be more than one Joe Biden, that shooting was definitely real. They are the ones that refuse to look at the information. Look at the information. Earth is flat. No. My teacher told me, and a guy in a bow tie who's a failed comedian told me that it's round, right? And he showed me that boats go over the horizon, because it's round. But once you look and see the truth, you can't unsee it.
Dave, we're going to hit a commercial break, but I wanted to ask you, since we're talking doubles, so I'll let you answer this because we're going to hit the break. We're talking a double of Joe Biden, which I actually believe there's definitely that going on. Space Shuttle Challenger, didn't everybody getting on that space shuttle have an identical twin?
Yeah, we'll hit that when we come back on the other side.
There we go, Joe. We got Joe and Jason, the Half Empty Cup of Joe. Our guest today is going to be David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave. Stay with us. We'll be right back. It's a
We're back here, the Half Empty Cup, Joe and Jason, our guest today, David Weiss, and we're going to be all over the place today. I can feel it. I love it. We're right before the break, because we were talking about how many Joe Bidens are there. Then Jason brought up the Challenger and the folks on that flight.
So
go ahead. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to say, we started the show off, and the first topic brought up, you got me triggered, and you got me like cranking out some information, and I love it. This is my last interview before we go to the Flat Earth Conference in Las Vegas, which is this Friday and Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday. So anyone listening that's near Vegas, come to Flattoberfest. You can find it on my website, flatearthdave.com. And guaranteed, it's scientifically impossible to leave there believing in the globe. But getting back to the Challenger, that's a hard one because that one, they play with emotions. You know how they tell you, if you ever get in a fight with your significant other, don't go to sleep angry. You have to kind of get over it and, don't make any decisions while your emotions are kicked in, because your emotions turn off your logical brain, right? So the emotions on the Challenger, that is the one space launch that they drag televisions into every class. I forget the percentage of the world that was watching it during live, but it was bigger than anything ever. It's like the most viewed event. So they wanted everyone to see it. If you ask, I'll tell you for a fact, nobody was on that balloon. Okay, what balloon? What is he talking about? We saw it. We saw them get on. Okay. Everyone on there had an identical twin. We've identified 6 out of the 7, right? And the 7th one, it's like we don't know where that person is. He could have died in a car crash. Who knows? And then they can't report it, so that person's MIA. But they all had identical twins. None of their twins showed up at their siblings' funeral. None of them spoke at the funeral or showed up. And all of the twins now are spokesmen for NASA, pushing the NASA nonsense on the world. So if you don't believe, and again, don't believe anything I tell you. Go look at the information. And a great place, if you want to watch a great movie, it's called Level With Me. It's on YouTube. You can find it at, I believe, levelwithmefilm.com. Or if you have my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, just go to the FE Movies section. Or on my website, flatearthdave.com, go to the Crash Course. It's in there. Watch that movie and then make up your mind, because when you see it, you can't unsee it. When you see Joe Biden, his mask peeling up from his neck or separating from his eyeball, or you see his detached earlobes in one video and then his attached in the next, and it doesn't even look like the same guy, then you can't unsee it. But when you hear it, you can be like, oh, that's baloney. And then your subconscious says, don't look, because it's going to be emotionally upsetting to you. And your conscious brain is trying to avoid pain. And the worst pain, worse than a broken leg or a broken arm, is emotional pain. So your subconscious is protecting you from finding the truth if it's going to upset you emotionally, and usually it does. So deal with it.
Yeah, Dave, so what you're saying is the cure for ignorance is curiosity. Is that what you're saying?
The curiosity, yeah, I like that. I'll use that.
Curiosity is, the cure for ignorance is curiosity. You, if you're not a curious person, and here's the thing, our school system, they don't teach you to ask questions and be curious. They say sit down and shut up and learn how to fill the bubbles in on the test. That's not curiosity. That's not how you learn.
If you do it really well, you could become the teacher or the professor. The ones that can memorize and regurgitate the nonsense that are put out by the Rockefellers, who are quoted as saying, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. If you can regurgitate their nonsense, then you can become the teachers of the next generation. Teachers aren't liars. They're indoctrinated storytellers.
So what you're saying is if you march lockstep with the system, you can become a Freemason, and then you can be on the next fake space shuttle, I guess, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. So the people say, how could they keep a secret? There's people fighting to protect the globe that believe the globe. Most of the world believes the globe. But there's tons and growing, faster and faster number of people. Many, many pilots. We just put out a video, a 3-hour video, 27 pilots, major airline pilots talking about how the Earth is flat. And since we spoke last, I had a very prominent pilot, I'm not going to mention his name, reach out to me and connected me with like 20 other, American Airlines, JetBlue, Qantas, these pilots that all know the Earth is flat and know what's happening. This is fantastic. When you're a flat earther, when you understand the Earth is flat, and you're in a car or somewhere with somebody, all you want to do is tell them about flat Earth, right? So think about a pilot of a long distance flight. They take off, then they literally have nothing to do for the next 4, 5, 10, 20 hours, however long the flight is, until it's time to land. So these flat Earth pilots are in there with their co-pilots, and one flight, they're turning them into flat earthers. So the amount of pilots that are waking up to flat Earth is over the top. And now these pilots aren't afraid to talk to other pilots because so many pilots are in on it now. I predict within the year, every single commercial pilot will know the Earth is flat.
Yeah, because I've seen these conversations. They start off kind of lighthearted, kind of like it's almost sarcasm. Yep. It's like, hey, what do you think of that horizon there? And then they kind of feel each other out. And then once they know they're in a somewhat friendly company, then they have the serious discussion. And then suddenly all the facts that you bring to the air here and everywhere else, that's when that starts to come out. And they try to argue both points, and it always ends up being, it doesn't seem like it's a globe, right?
Yeah, no, it's scientifically provably not a globe. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane. Okay, that sounds like look, he's making fun of words. No, words are how they cast spells on us, and they literally tell us the horizon is your horizontal eye zone. Right, the sky, no matter how high it is, and the ground, no matter how high it is, in the distance will meet at your eye level. right? When you're looking at a mountain and you're 10 feet away from it, you're looking straight up. That mountain is thousands of feet over your head, right? But when you look at that mountain from 5, 10, 20, 30 miles away, the top of that mountain looks like it's at your eye level. And the clouds that are above that mountain also merge into that same horizontal eye zone. And so all of that is at your eye level from your perspective, but in reality, the mountain is thousands of feet over your eye line, and the clouds are thousands of feet over the mountain, and they all look like they're at your eye line. So when people say, how does the sun set, or where does it go? It just goes beyond your horizon.
It's exactly right. Let me ask you something, Dave, because I last month you came on, I asked you about the spy balloons, and you filled us in on how that works. I watched something a couple of days ago before you came on today. So I want to. I don't. If you haven't watched it, it doesn't really matter that much because I'm sure you've encountered this. I'm just going to let you know what I encountered.
I watched it.
Glenn Beck.
What is it?
Well,
tell me. I'm not sure.
Well, let me just preface it this way. I've kind of liked Glenn Beck over the years, and then there was a period of time during 2016. I think Glenn Beck sold himself out. I think he was having financial troubles. He backed up Ted Cruz. He looked like a big fraud. And then as soon as Trump won, it was like he was released of his financial duties with the Republican Party and started talking. He started supporting Trump, which I'm not a Trump supporter at all, but his behavior would really look like a controlled person. But in the recent couple of years, he's snapped back to the old Glenn Beck, who seems to be thinking for himself again. So I've been kind of liking him lately. Lately, I've been like, wow, okay, Glenn, good. Yeah, you got out of that.
He had the astronaut on.
Then he had Charlie Duke on. So I don't know if you've seen this, but I was like, okay, well, Glenn Beck's back on his
Duke,
game.
The astronaut.
I'm gonna let you tell the whole story. Let me set it up, and you knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
He had Charlie Duke. Charlie Duke is on all. He's been on, and you'll know better than I do. All the space flights back of the Apollo missions. And I'm thinking, okay, well, Glenn Beck actually, this video talks about how he's going to talk about the conspiracy of not landing on the moon. So I'm thinking, okay, well, at least he's going to ask. It looks like he's going to ask some pretty tough questions, and they're going to have to see what this Charlie Duke says. Let's see if he can convince me he landed on the moon. And I was so massively disappointed in the softball, I would say, kindergarten-type questions that Glenn Beck came with, and then telling Charlie Duke how much he loves him 3 times.
Right. So this is how...
Man, it's so frustrating, an opportunity. Yeah. Frustrating, Dave, to see it go that way.
This is how they get you. First, astronauts are heroes, and they've weaponized the word hero. All the firefighters are heroes, the astronauts are heroes, and how dare you even question their trustworthiness, or is Charlie Duke a liar? Probably, but maybe not. Maybe he's just MK Ultra mind controlled. I believe that some of the people that we see on the space station literally think they're on the space station, even though they're hanging from wires in a studio with a green screen behind them, because you can do that to a hypnotized person. And if you watch some of these, like there's this young girl that's supposedly on the space station recently, and she looks like she's in a trance, and it's quite amazing. And so, but most of the people on the space station allegedly are liars. So whether Charlie's a liar or not isn't the issue. The issue is go back and watch that interview again, and you'll see that all he did was tell stories. He didn't give one provable fact on anything other than cool stories for kids.
Well, and listen, Dave, my problem wasn't with what Charlie Duke was going to do. My problem was the guy here's the video I'm watching, Glenn Beck, and he says he's going to ask him about these people, Glenn Beck audience members that believe we didn't land on the moon. He's representing those people, and he didn't even ask a simple question like, what about NASA claims forever and ever that there's only one light source, but you have multiple light source shadows on the moon. Hey, Charlie Duke, can you explain that? Glenn Beck didn't even have one of those questions that would have made Charlie Duke probably sit back and not have an answer. It made me really, really just have a problem with Glenn Beck. If he's going to actually ask the questions and challenge us, whether he, right. I know Glenn Beck believes we landed on the moon. I know it after this interview. He believes it. He lorded over this guy. But why not ask the questions that the people that think we didn't land on the moon ask this guy those questions when he has the opportunity?
Yeah. why not have someone like me or one of the other people, like Jaron from Jaronism or Austin Whitsitt, have us on and ask us questions and let us give you the answers that these astronauts won't give you. Let us show you what they're not going to show you. Pat Gray, the morning show on Glenn Beck Network, he had me on, and I think he had me on twice. They absolutely are blown away with the stuff on fake space and flat Earth, and they know the Earth is flat, but they're not talking about it. They actually, normally they take their morning show and they make 1 or 2 clips out of it afterwards. I think they made like 5 or 6 clips of my interview because they were just blown away by it. But, they went awful quiet after that. What happens is on a big show like that, and it got huge views, maybe they're told, hey, don't bring that up again. Maybe Glenn had a word with them. I don't know. I'm not there. But maybe they're just waiting to have me back on again. But, again, his network knows the Earth is flat, knows we didn't go to the moon, knows space is fake. And he's unwilling to look at it because he's afraid of what it will do to his popularity.
Let me go to Joe. So, Joe, we've been going back and forth. What do you think of all that stuff you just heard?
Well, first of all, 877-536-1360, the call or text line. I didn't see the interview, and again, that seems to usually be what you get is when they say they're going to have these discussions, they really don't ask the questions that they know the flat earthers are going to present that they're going to have a hard time answering. But I got a texter that texted in, so I'm going to throw this out there to David. Love when you had Dave on. Definitely a flat earth researcher and just too many things that don't add up. But I have a question that we've all been told for so long. The one thing I wonder and want to ask is about the flat earth model. What makes the different visible phases of the moon, i.e. waxing, waning, and full moon optics? We've always been told it's from a moon orbiting us and therefore the Earth blocking the amount of sunlight that can hit the moon and reflect back. But that does not apply to the flat Earth model. So, David, that's the question. We'll get your answer on the other side of the break. Yeah, we'll be right back. We're back here, the half-empty cup. Joe and Jason, our guest David Weiss, and the question, David, was about the phases of the moon, the visible phases of the moon, and the answer being that that it revolves around the Earth and the Earth blocks it, which doesn't fit the flat Earth model.
Yeah. So what I always say is if globe believers, the normal person that believes we live on a globe, knew a 10th, now I'm going to change it to a 20th of what flat earthers know about the heliocentric ridiculous model, they would be flat earthers because globe believers don't even know what they believe. They're saying that the Earth blocks the sun, which causes the phases of the moon, which is 100% untrue in the helio-nonsensical BS model. Okay? So that would be an eclipse if the Earth was blocking the sun. That would be a lunar eclipse, okay? And in the heliocentric model, that's a whole other topic. So what causes in the heliocentric model, the ball model, the phases of the moon? It's because where the moon is in the sky, it's angled to the sun. Since the moon is closer to us when it's right in front of the sun or next to the sun, we have a new moon. We can't see it because the back of the moon is lit up. There's no dark side of the moon. That's the Pink Floyd song. Okay? And then when it's halfway, 90 degrees to the side of the Earth, then we would see a half a moon because the sun is lighting up that half. And then when it's opposed, 180 degrees opposed to the sun, and the Earth isn't blocking anything, then we would see a full moon. Now, that's the heliocentric model, okay? And occasionally, they're on the same plane, allegedly, and that's what causes these eclipses. So what causes it on a flat Earth? It makes perfect sense. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode of the Earth battery system. We live in an electrical world. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode, and the sun's energy, in my opinion, goes to the moon, and the angle that it reaches the moon, it will fluoresce the moon in that colors. It's not reflecting off of a dusty, dirty ball. Go outside and look at a block of cement, or go to Target where they have those big cement balls out front. And when at 12 noon, look at the ball. Is that ball lit up like the moon, casting your shadow onto the wall next to you? No, absolutely not. And, a full moon will cast our shadow. The moon is its own light. So the phases of the moon are tied into the position of the sun over the flat Earth. On the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, if you go to the moon phases section or the eclipses section, you'll learn a lot more about your own model and about the Flat Earth model. There's also one other thing, very, very, very important. Have you guys ever heard of the Antikythera mechanism?
No, I don't think so.
So the Antikythera mechanism, this is the most important discovery in all of mankind about our history, and you haven't heard about it because they don't want you to know about it. It is in a museum somewhere in Europe, in Italy or somewhere, or Greece. It was found, it was a shipwreck off of the island of Antikythera, off of Greece, and they found this weird, fossilized gear wheel, and they brought it in.
Well, we heard about this. You know what, Dave, now I take it back. I think, I forgot the name of it, but I think we had a guest named Chuck who talked about this shipwreck where they found this very sophisticated device.
That device.
Yeah. So let me just finish. Let me finish on it. By the way, the latest Indiana Jones movie is all about the Antikythera mechanism. Crazy, right? But there's a movie that just came out, and you can rent it. It's amazing. I think it's 10 euros or something. It's called themechanicalrealm.com. It is the Antikythera mechanism. They rebuilt it based on the MRIs they took of it, and it is the most complicated, sophisticated computing device ever. It marks the position of a bunch of planets. It marks all of the eclipses. It marks the phases of the moon. It shows you the flat Earth model and how it works. So we have a working physical model from 2,000 years ago. Okay? So everything you've been told is a lie. And that device, they don't want you knowing about it. But themechanicalrealm.com, you can find a link on the app. You can just go to themechanicalrealm.com, watch the video. It's amazing.
Joe, we heard about this device. We did a show on it with Chuck, and how sophisticated this device is, and it tells time. And let me say this, Dave. You can rewind or fast forward this machine, and it can hit any date on the calendar for hundreds or even thousands of years. Is that right?
Wait, check this out. It actually is more accurate. Like a normal watch loses 3 seconds a day or something like that. It's off by 3 seconds a day. This thing is off by like a half a second a year or a century or something ridiculous. It's more accurate than any watches or any devices that we have now, and it predicts everything. In the heliocentric model, which basically is a beehive that you threw a rock at, and you have all of the bees, which are the stars, flying in all different directions. But somehow, when we look up at the sky, for century upon century upon century, no two stars have ever crossed each other's path. You know what parallax is? When you're going down the road and you see the trees that are close to you and the trees that are far of you, they'll change positions due to your position. That's because things are farther and closer and they move at different speeds. No two stars, just let this sink in, have ever crossed another star's path. Okay? In all of history. That's impossible in the heliocentric gravitational beehive solar system, spinning and moving stars that are in binary. They tell us that most stars are binary stars where they're two stars orbiting each other. So we have all these movements of all of these stars. But from our point of view, no two stars have ever crossed each other's path.
And Dave, I find that even more remarkable because under the flat Earth model, the Earth is stationary and unmoving, and the sky, the stars above us, are spinning around us. Is that right?
The stars are fixed in their position. They spin around us. Go out tonight, take a picture of the stars, mark the time, mark the date, put it in your calendar. Go out and do the same thing next year, 10 years from now, whenever, from the same spot, and every single star will be in the exact same place. That's impossible. Every star would be changing place every day if we were in the system that they told us we're in. But they never, ever change.
Never change. So yeah, that's one of those things that when you grow up with the globe model in your brain, it's hard to for the average person to make that leap, right, Dave? It's hard. You've got for me. I'll just say, I said to you last month for me, the thing that got me moving towards this direction of understanding it was, the moon landings being fake. Because to me, that made so much sense when I looked at that first. And I know that everybody that looks at the flat Earth model, they have different paths to getting there. That was the easiest path for me, because to me, human corruption on the space flights to the moon made a lot more sense than the model of the globe model versus the flat Earth model, because, like you said, if you're not really studying either model, it's hard to know any of this, right? So that's how I got there.
Just because we faked the moon landing doesn't mean the Earth is flat. That's what you're going to hear from people. But when you understand what NASA is there we go. NASA is the head security, is the head top intelligence agency of the world.
I think we'll have a little bit of NASA on the other side. If you want to call in, you have a text, 877-536-1360. Get in the conversation with us.
We're back here, the half-empty cup. Joe and Jason, David Weiss, 877-536-1360. And I think this is the kind of the dumbed-down version of, hey, wait a minute. Because when you say flat Earth in people's mind, they view this flat surface that has a, if you will, a beginning and an end. And so you have a lot of people that say, well, if the Earth is flat, why haven't we found the edges yet? Right? Where are the edges in the flat Earth?
Yeah, so the answer to that is you're not allowed to go to what we call the edge of our world. Now, it's not the edge of a disk floating in space. That's what they want you to think. Google Flat Earth. The Flat Earth Society will dish up a flat, squished Earth floating in heliocentric space. 2 fake models offered as, hey, take your choice. Republican or Democrat. Those are your 2 choices. Both are complete and total nonsense. So what is the flat Earth? We're a lake. We're just like, I think of us as a giant pond with islands. Those are all the continents. And the shoreline, the highest land on Earth is Antarctica, right? People don't realize that the base of Antarctica is like 100, 200 feet above the surface of the ocean. There's no other continent around. And that is just the shoreline of our world. How far out does that go? We don't know. No one's allowed to go there. What do you mean no one's allowed to go there? We can go. There's 100 different companies, all run by the Antarctic Commission, same company, and they'll take you to Deception Island or Rothschild Island off of that little tip off of Santiago, close to Santiago, South America, and you won't even get close to the real shoreline of Antarctica. There are people that work in bases along the shoreline, several bases around, but they're not allowed to go outwards, right? Outwards. South is outwards. And really explore. Many stories coming out of there. Again, on my app, go to the Antarctica section on the FAQ page, and you'll learn a lot.
Well, Dave, and let me, because you're like an information blizzard. I mean, you have so much packed in, and you give so much information so quickly. So some of our slower listeners that take information as slower, probably there's no way they're keeping up with you. So I try to slow you down a little bit once in a while. But based off what you're saying about Antarctica, just for people to understand, because we're asking about the edge, right? When we're told by this agreement by multiple countries who would never agree on anything on such a scale such as this otherwise, right? There's such an agreement that nobody should go down there without permission. But I want the audience to understand with a flat Earth model, Antarctica is that ice ring around, like Dave has said multiple times, but the massive, massive amount of space that covers, the ice ring that is Antarctica, what we would call Antarctica on a globe, the amount of that massive amount of ice is more land mass or ice mass than all of the continents combined. Am I right, Dave? And so when you go south, which is in any direction, north, south, east, or west, it's impossible to cover that amount of land and really make sense of where you're at.
So on a globe, Antarctica is a little continent on the bottom, 13,000 miles in circumference. That makes sense on a globe. But everyone that's tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, the last person to do it was Captain Cook. It took him 3.5 years, and he went over 68,000 miles. Well, the equator is only 25,000, so how could that be 68,000? Well, look at the flat Earth model, the real flat Earth model, and the shoreline of our world pond, the water needs containment, is Antarctica. So, they always tell us if Antarctica melted, the oceans would rise and, Miami would be underwater. I'm like, how could that little continent at the bottom affect the oceans? It's like so tiny down there. But in reality, I think Antarctica is bigger than all of the oceans and all of the continents combined. What's out beyond there? We don't know. We want the right to go explore. We want airships back. We want all sorts of technology that used to be here that has been taken from us. There was a way more advanced world here in the early 1800s.
Right. And so even if you are somebody that's given permission, because I've seen actors, celebrities, and different kinds of dignitaries go to Antarctica, whichever part they go to. If you even are able to get down there, it's almost impossible unless you are fully funded and have, I guess, what Admiral Byrd had, which is like a fleet of ships, to really do any kind of exploring. Unless you're really prepared for something major, because that's a major. I mean, let's face it. Look how long it took our ancestors just to walk across America and get from New York to California, so to speak. How do they do that, Dave?
Yeah. So the whole Wild West thing, we could do a whole show on that. Maybe next month we'll do that, because that's all complete and total nonsense again. But when Admiral Byrd, he went on television after his Project High Jump, interesting. And he said that there's more. He goes, leaving from Middle America, so get a globe, down to Antarctica, draw the shortest line to Antarctica. He says when he crossed the South Pole, he found another continent bigger than the United States that no human has ever set eyes upon. Well, if you're holding a globe right now and you look at it, that continent would be in between Johannesburg, South Africa, and Australia. Do you think anyone over there would notice a continent bigger than the United States filled with resources? Of course they would, but that's on a globe. That's impossible. On a flat Earth, it's just out of our reach, right? And he also said, one of his reconnaissance missions, that it got warmer and warmer. And he goes, that doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be getting colder and colder when you go down out south or whatever, right? But it got warmer and warmer. And there was one report that said it was like 75 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And they're like, wait a minute, how could that be? Well, on a flat Earth, it makes more sense than on a globe. And once you start seeing this stuff, you look at Admiral Byrd's TV show, his interview, he has a giant flat Earth map behind him with a clock on it, showing that the sky is a clock. The hour hand is the sun. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months, and the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Get my app, flatearthdave.com. Learn the truth, because it's being hidden from you. How much time do we have? I want to talk about censorship for a second, because this will blow your mind.
We're going to hit a commercial break in a few seconds, and we'll come back. We'll have the short segment before the first hour expires. But if you listen, if you got questions, and as you can hear, Dave's got the answers. Have a little curiosity. If something doesn't make sense that we're talking about, if Dave needs to recover on something that we passed over quickly, just call us at 877-536-1360. Right now, the phone lines are empty, but you can also text there if you don't want to get on the air and then actually speak on the air. You just have a question that Dave can answer. You can text at the same number, 877-536-1360. We'll have more David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, on the other side of the break. I'm here. Just go ahead.
So David, you wanted to talk about some other things right before the break there.
Yeah, we can do this in the short segment. So everybody has a YouTube. They go to the YouTube, and if you have your own channel, you can go to your history and see all the videos that you watch. Let's say you watch a video on how to grow roses, I don't know, a year ago. You could search growing roses, and it'll find that video in your history. That's how history works. And all of your history is saved in YouTube history. You can look up, hey, I searched something on COVID cures. I searched something on the Loch Ness Monster, on aliens. And every video that you watched will show up in your history. Now, go to my channel, DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH on YouTube. Watch a whole bunch of videos that have the words Flat Earth plastered in them, in the tags, everywhere. Okay? You watch these good, real Flat Earth videos. You'll see them in your history. They'll be there in your current history. But then if you go into your history and search Flat Earth, all of them will disappear. All of the ones that you watched days, weeks, months ago will disappear, and only propaganda flat Earth videos will show up in your history. There is no other topic that happens with. I mean, you could look up COVID cure, you can look up, anything, and it will find it in your history. But if you type in flat Earth, all of the real flat Earth videos disappear that you watched, and the propaganda pieces that if you search flat Earth that they'll serve to you will show up in your history. What do you think about that?
I'll go to Joe.
I'll just say this: I've never heard of that. That's absolutely incredible. I'm gonna actually do it because I that would be a huge indication. And again, this is something where on this show we want people to think. We want, like you always say, Dan, I love how you said, hey, don't take my word for it. Go out there and do the research on your own. And it's one of those things where we know for a fact, listen, there's nobody better at propaganda than the government, and they've got all the big tech firms in their back pocket. We saw that with COVID as well, where all the banks, all the big companies, they all went along with a mandate from the president, which isn't a law, isn't anything. Hey, you can't work here unless you get shot up and all these other things. And we had these companies doing the government's bidding. Why would it be any different here? And you bring up a great point. Why is it that one topic they go to even a farther length than they do with any other?
Exactly. And that's waking up more and more people. Everything they do to hide flat Earth actually promotes flat Earth, because people are waking up at an incredible rate right now. There are many, many big podcasters that know the Earth is flat, but they're afraid of losing their audience or getting shadow banned, and losing their income because, they're getting compensated great for the amount of views that they get. But they're all going to come out soon because there's many, many bigger and bigger podcasters that are speaking up.
Stop bitching.
There you go. You're listening to David Weiss here on the Half Empty Cup of Joe. We're going to have him next hour. Just stay with us. We'll be back after this over-the-hour break. Welcome back to the Half Empty Cup of Joe. If you want to jump on the line, talk to Dave, Jason, or Joe, doing a little flat Earth. And we even talked a little bit about Israel to start the show, and it got Dave all fired up. But the phone number to call in is 877-536-1360. That is the number to call in. And I want to get, but before we go back to Dave, we had a caller that came in late on the last segment and was unable to get his call in. So let's go to John. John, thanks for calling in. What is your comment for the show today?
Oh, yeah, I got like 3 quick questions. I have no idea whether the Earth is flat or round. I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea of the Earth being flat, but I do have about 3 quick questions. How come the sun sets 4 hours earlier on the East Coast than it does on the West Coast? And why is it, if the moon is putting out its own light, why isn't it 100% instead of just this side that we can see? And the other one is, when you have a lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow is definitely not flat. It's elliptic. So that's only
all right.
3. Okay.
Let me address those. We'll start in reverse order. So you can't cast a shadow on one ball to another ball at any great distance. Take a basketball, put it on the ground when the sun is over you, and notice the perfect shadow around it. Now lift it 10 feet in the air. The shadow's gone. Okay, shadows disperse. They become fuzzy and literally disperse because the light just bleeds everywhere. So you can't cast a shadow on the moon. And the other thing is, during a lunar eclipse, that's when the Earth allegedly gets in between the sun and the moon. Well, there's been many, over 50 documented eclipses where the observer can see the sun and the moon both opposing each other above the horizon, which proves the Earth isn't in between. And to make it worse, the shadow comes in from the top of the moon, right? That's called, the scientists call it the impossible eclipse. It's called the Seleninian eclipse, but they call it the impossible eclipse because it doesn't work on the heliocentric model. So what causes the shadow? I don't know. I have a lot of theories, but we can prove that it's not the Earth. The other one, the first question was, what was the first question? It was, why does it get darker, sunset?
The time zones about how the East Coast is farther ahead than the West Coast.
Yeah. So on a ball, the time zones work. You know, you have 24 lines going from the North Pole to the South Pole, dividing the Earth like orange sections of an orange. And as the Earth spins, you have your time zones. Well, it's the same, very similar on a flat Earth, where the sun circles over the flat Earth like I'm going to say pizza, but the Earth isn't a pizza, but we'll say pizza that's cut into 24 thin slices. So as the sun moves over, whatever slice it's over, it's noon there. So it's over the East Coast, and it's 9 o'clock there. When it's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, it's 9 a.m. on the West Coast because the sun hasn't gone there. On my app, if you just look at it carefully, you'll see how time zones work. Another problem is, did you know that there's 32 time zones in the north and only 18 time zones in the south? That makes no sense on a globe, and they do that to hide the extra space. And they do that out in the middle of the ocean where you can't verify anything. And I forget what the middle question was.
Well, let me add something, Dave, because I think one thing about people that are trying to learn the flat Earth model when you're on doesn't make sense to people. So let's cover this, and we might have to cover this every time you're on because this is always the hardest one I've noticed with people trying to learn it.
Yep.
You do the pizza cut, the 24 pieces of the pizza, and the sun spins around that. And what most people I think are thinking in their minds, Dave, which they can't get around, was, well, even if the sun is over a pizza slice that's on the other side of the pizza, I'm standing on this pizza slice. I can still see the sun. Why can't I? Then it should still be daytime. I think that's something that's really hard for people to understand, that the sun goes far enough away that you just don't see it anymore. And the one thing I try to tell people is when you're on an airplane, you're on the ground, you're getting ready to take off. You see all the workers on the ground getting planes ready. But when you take off and you get up in the air and you're high up in the air and you're flying and you look down at the airport, you can't see the people anymore because they're outside of your ability to see them. The sun does essentially the same thing, right, Dave?
Well, it's all about perspective. You know, like when you're standing under, like let's say you're standing underneath a highway overpass or just to the side, and the highway, 25, 30 feet above your head, whatever it is. But you look underneath the overpass and you could see clouds in the distance. Well, those clouds, from your perspective, are below the overpass. But in reality, they're 10,000 feet above the overpass, right? That's how perspective works. And on a radio show, it's hard to show that spatially to people. But if you go to my YouTube channel, DITRH, it stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH. And if you just go back, 10 videos or so, I have a video called How Does the Sun Set on Flat Earth? And I clearly explain it there with visuals so you can understand it. Then you can go outside and look and see for yourself how the sun sets. The sun goes, as I said earlier in the show, beyond the horizontal eye zone.
And Dave, I only saw it once, and I went back into your website to see it. I saw a tabletop experiment that shows perspective. You know how it curves inward, and I saw how they use
Flat Earth Kitchen.
I need to get one of those to show people because you can put that thing on a tabletop and have a ball in front of it.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
You can see that. You can see how the sun sets with the ball that's right in front of your face, and the sun leaves your view. I was really impressed with that home experiment.
Yeah. That was done by Rob Skiba, rest in peace. And there's a ton of stuff. But on my app, again, because YouTube's hiding everything, you go to Where Does the Sun Go? How does the sun set section, and you'll see all of those videos.
We got more callers coming in, but you can come in pretty quick on the next segment. 877-536-1360. Brian with an eye, you're up next.
We're back here, the half-empty cup. Joe and Jason, our guests today, David Weiss, and we're going to go back out to the phone lines. I believe we've got Brian with a Y, Jason, that has some questions for David.
Yeah, Brian with an I. Brian, thanks for calling in.
Brian with an I. My bad, Brian.
Oh, if we had to have a letter for every guest or every caller that came on, we'd be really confused, Joe. But Brian with an I, that goes way back to the 3 o'clock show, and Brian with a Y was my co-host, and so Brian with an I would come on, and we had to differentiate which Brian it was. But anyways, Brian, just shows you're a longtime listener. What is your comment?
Oh, that's okay, guys. So really the question is for you, Jason. You remember that we have had email exchanges, and the topic of flat Earth business came up, and you had told me that you didn't really believe in this flat Earth stuff. So I have to ask you, have you changed your mind? Do you still believe in this bull?
Oh, this isn't Brian with an I. This is other Brian. Ask that question one more time, because I have technical difficulties going on at the same time I'm doing a show. Ask that one more. I hear that something that I believed or don't believe. One more time, so you got my full attention.
You said previously in an email exchange with me that you did not believe in this flat Earth bull, and now I have to ask, have you changed your mind?
Okay, yeah. No, let me clear that up. I have said, and I've said this on this show, I've said it in front of Dave even, that this is his third appearance. I don't 100% believe the flat Earth model. I don't believe the globe Earth model at all. I think that there is so much about what we've learned growing up about the globe that you cannot trust that. There's so many things that are completely obvious that's not that model's wrong. Now I haven't hold on, Dave, 1 second. I haven't completely signed on to the flat Earth model, but if someone says gun to the head, you have to choose one. I'm choosing the flat Earth model. It makes way more sense. Brian, if you look at it without the eyes of what we were taught in school, it makes all the sense in the world. But you have to be curious enough to look at other information. Let me go to Dave, and Brian, I'll let you rebut.
Yeah, Brian, we were all in the same place as you. When I heard about flat Earth, I was like, this is just a psyop here to make all of the other truth stuff that we've been researching make us look like idiots. And I refused to look at it. But then I was forced to go and try to prove the globe, and that's how you become a flat earther.
And Dave, hold on, real quick. Yeah. Give Brian your background. You have a lot of experience with astronomy. Is that right?
I took 4 years.
I
took
I
astronomy.
don't give a rat's patoot whether he has astronomy experience.
I agree with that.
Brian, I don't know what
Brian,
I agree.
Is. Brian, wait, hold on, Brian. Let me finish what I was saying. So, Brian, I agree. My astronomy background has nothing to do with it. I believed all of that nonsense, but it's only when you try to prove the globe. Here's the thing. If the globe was real, there would be so many proofs. There would be a physical limit to how far we could see, which there is not. It goes way beyond the physical limits of a ball 25,000 miles around. So I offer three Bitcoins, $90,000 for one globe proof. That should motivate people to take enough time to say, hey, one globe proof, that's easy. And when you do that, that's when you end up being a flat earther. That's it. One globe proof. Do you got one?
Oh, Brian hung up. Brian did not want to offer. Brian, if you can call back in, it's a pretty easy chunk of money to earn, I guess, if you can prove something about the globe model that's absolute. So, Brian, if you can call back in, because I don't know if it's an accidental hang-up or if he left us.
I'll just say this, though. How about this to everybody out there listening? Because there's plenty of people that say, hey, this is just nonsense. It's not true. David, show them how to send you the proof so they can get their Bitcoin.
Just go to my website and they contact and send your one proof. But what I ask people to do is, if you have my app, watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. So you learn something before you send me nonsense. And if you don't want the app, just go on my website. I have a thing called the Crash Course, and it's a list of good videos. And just have to watch 3 or more. Any 3 or more. Pick the 3 shortest ones. And then you send me your proof and you win 3 Bitcoins. That's it, period, right? And the problem is, if you watch those videos, you'll have more questions about our world, and you'll realize, as Jason said, he knows it's not a spinning ball. He's not sure of the physical makeup of this world, and I'm on the same page with him. Okay, but our Earth is testably, scientifically, measurably, provably not spinning, end level, horizontal, with topographical features. period. Every test throughout time done by scientists to prove axial rotation of the ball or curvature, which a ball requires, has failed and proven the opposite. But people get triggered because nobody likes having their ball taken away.
Well, it's the old saying, Dave, which is it's easier to fool someone than to convince someone they've been fooled. And I think that's where so many people are holding on to all those childhood years and moments with your parents and these special teachers that taught you these things. And it's hard to say, I don't trust what my teachers or parents or people that I hold in high regard. I can't trust everything they've told me. I always tell everybody that I've been on the air for 6 years or coming up on 6 years. And sometimes it's cringeworthy for some of the co-hosts I'm on. But I say everybody on the radio, every television host, everyone's full of crap. At some level, nobody has all the answers. Everybody is wrong about stuff. Nobody has all the answers. So if you sit there and trust one person about all their information, great. They probably have areas, Dave, where they are experts that you can really rely on their information. But you can't rely on stuff that people say all the time because they have the experience of logic and facts, but they also have the experience of illogic and facts that aren't true. You have to go out and find out how things work so that you know who's full of crap and who's not, Dave, on certain subjects.
On a flat Earth, we have our horizontal eye zone. You raise up higher, you can see farther because you have a higher perspective, right? On a globe, the physical horizon should block things. We can see mountains 700 miles away. And using the globe math, the tops of those mountains, we can see the whole mountain. The tops should be over 40 miles below a physical curve, but we can see them. Okay? That's all you need. That's all you need. And we have other proofs that are a little more complicated, but very basic.
The one that gets me with the horizon, the one that really got me, like, blew my mind, was when you take the P900 Nikon camera that has, the zoom lens. Yep. And I actually have seen multiple, but the one shot that really got me, all the shots are good. You see the ship going over the so-called horizon, and you see the sun setting at the same time. That means it's beyond the horizon. You can't see it anymore. That's what we're taught. And then the guy just zooms in, and there's the ship and the sun. It's back in the picture. Under a globe model, that is impossible. It can't happen. So this is why Dave wants to reinforce. I don't believe the globe model. I don't know exactly what the Earth is, but the globe model, there's something very wrong with what they've taught us, and there's a reason they must have taught us this.
It's scientifically impossible from every aspect, from the our high pressure system being next to a void of space, no pressure vacuum, if you will. Scientifically impossible. Well, gravity's holding the air down, okay? Well, if I took a box that had no air in it, a vacuum, just a void, and I opened up a valve on the bottom, it would suck the air violently from the ground up into it, right? Which proves that gravity can't hold on to air, okay? So it's when you look at all of these things, then you'll realize that your entire life is a lie. That's where they want you. They want you, you're in Plato's allegory of the cave, where they want you just looking at shadows on the wall and not realize that there's a real world out there. They want you trapped on this ball, not knowing that there's more resources, there's free energy, there's more land, there's more civilizations most likely. There's that you were at the center of creation, that we have incredible power. They don't want us knowing that. They want us trapped and living in their artificial world, right? Once you understand what Flat Earth brings, then the question of why does it matter is the most ridiculous question ever asked.
We got a couple of callers coming in, so if you want to call in, 877-536-1360. I think Joe has a comment. Let's get the first caller in. He's been waiting. John, thanks for calling in. I can't wait to hear your question or comment. John?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think I lean towards the globe model, but my comment is, my favorite thing about the flat Earth debate is it drives people like Mr. B crazy. They like to call and talk about how smart they are, but yet they can't control their anger over something they don't even believe in. And I find that highly entertaining
John, I'd like to ask you a question. You lean towards the globe, and I was in your position. So my question to you is, are you in a cult? Not an offense, just a question. Are you in a cult? No, just you might be. well, the answer is like so. Here's the question: you're leaning towards the globe. Why do you lean towards the globe? Right? What proof of the globe makes you lean in that direction? Because I can show you we can see too far. There is no curvature. There is no rotation. I can show you that stars never cross each other. I can show you 100 things that point to flat Earth. Can you tell me one that points to globe Earth?
Yeah, I think I told you I'm not smart enough to debate you. I just find it entertaining that some people go bananas crazy about it. That's all.
I agree, and that should point you towards flat Earth, how people are being triggered because of the programming. And it's not about being smart enough. You are smart enough. They want you believing that. Well, I don't have a degree. I got to trust a guy in a bow tie who lies, who's a failed comedian, right? I have to.
Dave, let me jump in. real quick.
Good.
Because I understand John a little bit more than the audience understands, but I think I don't know if this will fill in the blanks a little bit, Dave. John, I think, is of the opinion that it doesn't matter if it's a globe or not. How do you speak to someone like? Cause I think John's like, well, this is just what I learned. It's hard for me to get around that. But I think the other part is I don't think he really cares. So what do you say to that?
Well, so what if, they tell us there's 8 continents. What if I told you it was 8,000 continents? Would that matter? They have you paying for gas and electricity, air conditioning, heating, fuel for your car. What if there was free energy technology that was here in the 1800s that Nikola Tesla tried to bring back to us, that you wouldn't have to pay for any of that? Do you think that would change your life? What if there was rife technology that would make crops grow organically and faster and bigger and could feed the world, so easily, right? Would that matter to you, right? What if you found out that you're at the center of creation, that you have telepathic and incredible manifestation abilities that have been hidden from you, that have been taken away with artificial frequencies? Would that matter to you? What if there was freedom in other places that you're unaware of? What if there was advanced technology? The flat Earth brings back freedom. There you go. Oh.
No, you're good. You're good, Dave. Go ahead. We just had a glitch.
Yeah. So again, why does it matter? And I said the same thing. What difference does it make? When they knocked my boats over the horizon, sunsets, time zones, all the basic questions I had that I thought proved the globe and actually proved the opposite. I said, what difference does it make? Now I know where I am. Now I got my feet planted. And on my app, there's 118,000 people on the Friend Finder. They're all connecting. And every single one of those people is disconnected from the matrix, the heliocentric satanic matrix. And they no longer feed the evil system that we're in, right? If you're living on a globe and believing we live on a globe, you're feeding the system. You are part of the matrix.
All right. So, John, did you have anything else? I don't know if I helped it at all or not, or did you have anything else?
No. Like I said, I wasn't really wanting to be part of the flat Earth debate. I just loved how Mr. B was just really upset, and that made me happy.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
John, do me one favor, John. I feel like John the same way, right? Scroll down until you see a big picture of me, and it says Crash Course. Click that button, and there's a whole bunch of videos. Turn Netflix off for a week and watch them with your significant other, your family, yourself, whatever. Just watch them. They're really, really, really well done. Just watch those videos and see if it makes you feel differently.
All right, man. Thanks, Dave.
All right,
there we go. Peace. We're going to hit a break here. Mike has been waiting. We're going to put him on the air after this commercial break.
We're back here, the half-empty cup, 877-536-1360. That is the call and text line. We got David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, if you will. We got another caller. We'll go back out to the phone lines. And then I've got a question that I don't know if it relates to Flat Earth. I think it does. And does it help or not help what Dave has been saying? But first, let's go out to the phone lines. I think we got Mike out there.
Mike, go ahead. What is your comment, man?
Okay, I got 2 quick questions. One, what about the rest of the solar system? Are all the planets and moons not spheres also? And then number 2, the flat Earth. I know Jason talks about the firmament, the dome protecting us along with the flat Earth. It almost feels like maybe we're being kept as pets. What do you think?
Great questions. So, planets, until recently, used to be called wandering stars. And when our today's optics have outgrown their lives, the P900 and the P1000 by Nikon, and today's commercial telescopes, you can zoom in on these things, and they're not what NASA shows us. NASA's showing us CGI drawings, and with their pulsing orbs of lit energy. When you look at Jupiter, has recently been in the evening sky, and it is literally as bright as the sun. It's just very small, but it's bigger than any star. It's super bright. Now, Jupiter, they tell us, is a gassy planet, 200? It's like twice as far away as the sun is. Or it's something ridiculous. And we have to believe that the distant sun, which if you were on Jupiter looking at the sun, it would look very small because it's so far away, that little distant sun is reflecting off of Jupiter, and then we're seeing it back here as bright as the sun. Light doesn't work that way. Okay, thank you for laughing because it is absolutely ridiculous. And when do we have hydrogen and helium? That's what they say Jupiter's made of. They also tell us Jupiter has more gravity than all of the other planets combined. Wait a minute, hydrogen and helium defy gravity here on Earth. So how much hydrogen and helium do you need to make it not expand and fill the available space, but to collapse upon itself and create a gravitational monster, right? It is all so stupid that it's so stupid that people can't see it, okay? So what are planets? They're wandering stars. They're energetic sources. They're right here inside of the firmament. And when you look at them, if you watch my video interviews or on the app, if you search in the images section, like Mars and other, planets and stars, you'll see what they really look like. And you can go do this yourself. Go out and get the equipment. Look at them. You can see them. They're lying. Okay? They're lying about what they are. So planets are not terra firma. I don't believe that the moon that we see is actually a physical place. Okay? I think it is more of a plasma field. But again, these are things that are out of our reach, so we don't know. But one thing we do know is they're not giant rocks the size that they're telling us in gas balls in a space vacuum. And then the second question was, what was the second question?
Are we pets? Because it feels like it being on a flat dome with a flat.
He's talking about the fish tank. We're inside God's fish tank, so to speak.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. I look at it when they talk about the Earth. I think the Earth goes way beyond Antarctica, and that the biblical Earth. When God says, the four corners of the Earth. There's there's a Japanese map, a map that was. Is it from Japan? Found in a Buddhist temple like 10 centuries old. And it shows like 40 other continents outside of Antarctica, right? And then it's a square map like, okay, there's the four corners. What if the Earth was like that? Well, we are being kept in a fishbowl. That fishbowl is what they told us is our world. They literally took our flat map, wrapped around a sphere, and brought the edges together and said, oh, that's Antarctica, and you're not allowed to go there because there's penguins there, and we don't want to disturb their migratory path, okay? The story of why we can't go to Antarctica is ridiculous, okay? We have to protect the pristine ice and the migratory paths of the penguins, but we can go deforest and burn down the Amazon, the lungs of our world. I mean, when you start looking at all of this stuff, you start realizing the globe is not only ridiculous, it's really stupid.
That's what happens when the UN is in charge.
That's right. Look at the UN map. It's the Flat Earth map. Okay?
Yeah, the UN uses the Flat Earth map as their flag.
As their logo, right. No, the leaves around the outside, that's Antarctica. You're not allowed to go there.
Yep.
So
again,
caller, check out my website. Check out the crash course. Just watch those videos. Even if you don't believe them, they're fantastically made. All right, the crash course. Turn off Netflix. Watch those videos. And if you want to learn more, I say get my app. My app is $3. Okay, one-time charge. And then there's a whole social media thing on the app. If you want to be part of that and you want to communicate with other people, it's $10 a year, $11 a year. Okay, so you don't have to subscribe. It's a one-time charge of $3.
Excellent. We have Andrew calling in, but Joe, you had a question first, and we'll get Andrew in. If you want to call in, 877-536-1360 if you want to call in. Go ahead, Joe.
So this kind of just plays in. I didn't set it up this way. I had no idea what Mike was going to ask because they've been talking about, I don't know why it's in the news again, the hypothetical ninth planet that's supposed to be out there in the solar system, because I guess the law of gravity says it should be there. What about that?
Yeah, well, the gravity is not a law. Gravity is a theory. If you ask Neil deGrasse Tyson, I call him,
that guy is so terrible. I just want to say I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, and he posts stuff that are fallacious arguments that he knows that we don't think. He actually strawmans us. So why are they strawmanning us with fake arguments when, if the Earth was a globe, Neil deGrasse Tyson should have a primetime special on a Saturday or Sunday night or something showing proof of the globe. Not going to happen because there is no proof of the globe. If he did that, everyone in the world would wake up and go, wow, the globe is the dumbest thing ever. All right, so what was the question again? I'm on
the ninth planet.
The
ninth planet, right.
Planet.
Yeah. So again, there are a lot of lights in the sky that are on cycles. The eclipses repeat every 18 years, which would be impossible in the heliocentric model. I just put a video on my channel, DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, called it happened we filmed it again during the eclipse that happened just the other day, where we could see what I call the source sun, not a second sun, the actual sun that projects the sun that we see. Check that out. Again, it is biblical for all of you people that are that think that it has to be in the Bible, but it also makes sense. And I actually modeled it and proved what I'm showing is probably the truth, unless we come up with something better. So they're trying to make people believe, oh, that's another planet. That's another thing. When people start seeing through the veil of deception, they're going to start noticing things in the sky. And again, biblically, they say the signs will come in the sky. You'll start seeing things in the sky. And I think that time is happening now. I think that's one of the reasons that they're chemtrail the crap out of the sky to block us from actually seeing what's being unveiled for this time in history.
Excellent. We're going to hit the break. Andrew, just instead of getting you cut off, we're going to have you on the other side of the break. 877-536-1360 is the number to call. We got 2 more segments with Flat Earth Dave here on the Half Empty Cup of Joe. We'll be right back. Dave, I was thinking about asking about, I guess we're going to be going through supposedly Halley's Comet dust. Maybe we could talk about that too.
Oh, boy.
Do something.
Real quick, before I go ahead, Joe. You got a quick comment?
No, I was just going to say really quickly here that as we do all of this stuff, I get it, everybody's on all different sides here. I think it's great discussion. You can't put it past when we think of all the things that have been misrepresented and all the facts when you lay them out. I think I'm at this point where again, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't quite add up, right? What they tell us when you put the pieces together, you're like, well, wait a minute. These pieces don't fit in that puzzle. So obviously, if they don't fit, then there's something wrong with the puzzle to begin with, right? Whatever that explanation is, I don't know. I think I'm with the other callers. I don't know if the Earth is flat or not, but there's obviously some gaps here in what we've been told.
That's a great place. That's a great place, Joe, to start. And hold on, Dave, because I want to do 2 things real quick because we got callers coming in. I like having Dave on the show once a month. It's a huge help to the show to have someone like Dave come on and do what he does, because I feel like I am the gold customer. Joe and I, we sell gold and silver. One thing about all these heady topics, I love gold and silver. I'm where Dave is with gold and silver. I know what gold and silver is. You guys should be buying this stuff. You put a piece of gold in your hand, there's no doubt in your mind. It's right there. Dave has an understanding of how the Earth works. He's as sure about that as I am about gold and silver. Gold is off and running. Joe had me take a look at it. 800-951-0592. I'm going to give gold a plug here because any day now when it takes off, it's not coming back. And there's some wacky stuff going on. We got Dave off and running. We talked to Israel at the beginning of the show. Financially, you can secure yourself as your savings when it comes to precious metals, something you physically hold in your hand. It's that simple. It's easy to understand once it's in your fingers. But we have a caller, Andrew. Dave, before I put you back on, because I know you have tons more to say, Andrew's been holding. Andrew, thank you for holding on there. What is your comment for Dave?
Hi. There's a book by Pastor Dino Duell that you once had on your show, titled like Clay Under the Seal. I would highly recommend it. On one chapter, he goes into military missile guidance systems with lots of documents, and it says right in the document stating that the missile system is computed relative to flat, non-rotating Earth. And he's got like a bunch.
Andrew, Dean Odell is a fantastic preacher of the flat Earth. He's done some great presentations, and there's tons of declassified documents, and they all say under a flat, non-rotating Earth. So, again, it's just that people are afraid to look, and, because the information is right there. The truth has been disclosed, but it doesn't matter if you're not willing to look at the truth. So thank you for that call, and Dean Odell is phenomenal when it comes to that. I think he's running for governor of
he was running for the Senate, and I think he lost. We had him when he was on his Senate run. I think he lost. But we had him on during that Senate run. And he talked flat Earth with us and talked about his Senate run. It was a good show, Dave.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing about Half Cup of Joe. You guys are coming out of the gates before all of the other big scaredy cats are. So when this boat tips, you guys are going to be on record for leading the race. So congratulations to you. Thank you for having the guts to have this conversation. And you don't even have to say you're flat earthers, but you said it. Gun to your head, you're going to pick the non-rotating level horizontal plane with topographical features, right? There's people out there that go, the earth isn't flat, there's mountains, there's valleys. Yes, you're right, but it's a horizontal level, non-rotating plane, right? Flat is just a description.
Yes, exactly. I think even Joe, who's not a believer in any model specifically, I think he was definitely a globe guy. But Joe, I think at least you, unlike a lot of people who you can't move at all, at least Joe, I think I hear in your voice a little bit of I just don't know. Is that what I'm hearing? Just you don't want to claim anything, but hey, ignorance is not a bad thing to claim.
Joe told me off air he's 100% flat. He just doesn't want to say it on the show.
I just liken it this way. I'll make it really simple. I am not smart enough. Okay, and I don't. People are talking about
false.
And I don't. Hold on. Let me preface that. What I mean by I'm not smart. It's not my area of expertise, and I don't care. Okay, so when it comes to financial stuff, I will run circles around 99.9% of the people if they want to talk about money and all that stuff. When it comes to this stuff and reflecting light and this and that, I don't care.
Let me teach you something about gold. Right? Gold is sold by weight. Right? So there's a thing called centripetal force, right? So if the Earth is a globe, if you truly believe the Earth is a globe, you can go to the equator and buy gold, okay? Because it weighs less because it's trying to be thrown off the Earth. It's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, dropping at a mile per minute. So that centripetal force, it's like being on a merry-go-round that's going really fast and you're being pushed up. So the gold will be less. Then you fly to Sweden or Norway, and the Earth is spinning much slower there because it's making a smaller circle, and then you sell your gold, okay? And it'll be much heavier there, right? And just go back and forth, and you'll be super rich. Super rich.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, see? And Travis, I was just getting ready to put you on. Call back in, Travis. We got one more segment. I'm going to go to Roger James, who's on. But Travis, if you call back in, man, we're going right to you. Roger, we got about 30 seconds. If I have to, I'll put you on the next segment too. What's your comment?
Okay, I can hold because I know he can't answer in that.
Well, let's get the question out because the next segment's only 4.5 minutes. What is your comment to start?
I looked into this for about a week. I looked into I'm open-minded, let's see stuff. He's so sure of this discovery, this guest, right? Yes. That's what I'm hearing. I'll wait over the break for his answer, but what's the fruit? You've made this great discovery. What's the fruit?
Okay, you got it.
Okay, we'll hold over the break. And Roger, if we don't have enough time to get through this, Dave will be on next month. Maybe we'll bring you on, Roger, and we can have a little bit more back and forth. But we got one more commercial break and one more segment with David Weiss, Flat Earth Man. We'll be right back. Our final segment with David Weiss. I'll say this, David, as you go to answer Roger James. We lost our terrestrial radio last month when you were on, and then today I had all kinds of malfunctions on our we record and actually have a video version of the show that we're working on. That malfunction on my end. So definitely the gremlins are working against us, Dave.
Interesting. But the audio will be up on your podcast, right?
The audio is going to work. You're going to be good. We'll have some version of a video podcast. But Roger talked about. You go ahead and answer Roger what he said coming into this last segment.
And his question, the end of his question was what reward? What does it matter? But what was the beginning of the question again?
Go ahead, Roger. Oh, hold on. I got to put him back in. He's on hold.
You know,
go ahead, Roger.
Gone back. I spent a week on this, looking at both arguments.
Oh, okay. I got it. I remember now. So you spent a week on it.
Let me give you the benefit of any possible doubt that you have just nailed it and you're the man. So what's the fruit? Why is this important?
Well, I kind of answered that before, but I'll answer it again. But the thing is, when you said that you researched, if you Googled it, you were led down a hallway, which is a gate-kept hallway, and you were fed a whole bunch of nonsense. But let's just assume that we've looked into it, and you're right, so why would they do that? It's because it's all about control.
No, not why would they do that. I don't care why they would do that. I'm saying how has this changed
my life?
better to anybody who's in the audience. How's it going to change the situation that we're facing in the world, the real world?
And let me real quick, Dave. Roger, Dave did answer this earlier when John called in, so you'll have to listen on the podcast. But I would suggest, Dave, just do the same thing when you answer John.
Exactly.
Just real quick. It's when you unplug from the system, when you realize who you are, when you realize that we're at the center of creation, and you realize.
I do. What has happened? I want a testimony. What has
happened for me? My entire life has changed, all right? I worked my entire life to get into where I was in business, and then I walked away from it all, and everything has changed. I have better friends. I see the world for what it is. When I go out in nature, I see nature. I don't believe, look at those rocks. Yeah, those are volcanic rocks. No, those aren't. But let me finish. You're interrupting me, and I'm going to try to answer you.
Roger, I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause you, Roger, because we only have a minute and a half. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. The fruits of knowing this information literally frees you from the matrix. They have us living in fear, living in lack, living powerless, when the truth is we have God-given rights. And when you wake up to the flat earth, you take those rights back. None of the people in flat earth no longer are slaves to the system. When you understand that you're not a slave to the system, a lot of freedoms come with that. More freedom, you don't get robbed as much. That's all I'll say on this show about that. You learn so much more about this world and what it means. It gives you a closer relationship with the Creator. I was a full-on atheist when I started. I'm not saying I'm religious. I understand where we live, and I know how to work the system now. I am a master. I'm becoming a master at manifestation. Now, if you don't believe any of that, that's exactly where they want you. They want you fighting to say, what difference does it make? I'm happy working all day, weakening myself for the weekend, drinking, watching sports, watching Netflix, repeating, retiring, and dying. That's where they want you. And they also want you on all sorts of drugs and everything. No flat earthers take pharmaceutical drugs. We'll say that. When you understand, when you disconnect from the pharmaceutical complex, the military-industrial complex, when you understand about nuclear bombs, you no longer have fear anymore. So where does it take you? It takes you to all of those places and more. On the app, check out Why the Lie, and then you'll learn a lot more.
And it's what's the website they can find all your information, Dave?
FlatEarthDave.com. FlatEarthDave.com.
Joe, I guess take us out real quick.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Thank you to all the callers, all the texters. God bless everybody. Alex Jones is coming up next, whether it's flat or round.